All right, Coach, we're here with our yearly look after fall ball's over with Coach Monte Lee. Take a look at how things rounded out in the fall and kind of preview the upcoming season. Nice cold day here. We're actually inside instead of outside. Coach, in this segment, we want to kind of go through the lineup and talk about the field positions and the battles there. I'm going to start behind the plate because I think you got a heck of a battle there.
Oh, yeah. We absolutely do. We've got two young men this fall who have both done an amazing job defensively behind the plate, and Adam Hackenberg and Jonathan French. Both very highly touted guys out of high school coming into the program. Adam gained some really valuable experience last year, caught some for us, but had a young man in Kyle Wilkie who was a little more experienced and slightly ahead of him. Kyle's now playing professional baseball in the Pirates organization. So Adam certainly has come back and has been a man on a mission. He's been one of the hardest workers this fall on his swing, and his development as a hitter's really taken off. He had a great fall for us offensively, has leadership qualities. We all know how good he can throw. He can really throw from behind the plate. He's got as good an arm as you'll see in college baseball. Feel very good about Adam, but we also have a true freshman named Jonathan French. French has as much power as anybody that we have on this team. He hit a few balls out of the stadium in games this fall, so has a lot of offensive potential. Also is a very, very good defensive catcher, really soft hands behind the plate, great receiver and can block, throws pretty good too. So I couldn't tell you right now who is in the lead. We just feel like we've got two guys that we know we can put back there that are going to be major, major pieces for us as catchers, but also as hitters. I could see us having some days where both those guys are going to be in the lineup at the same time. Adam has the ability to play some first base, could even play some third base. We've put him over at third a good bit. Has the athleticism and the ability to play a couple different spots, but we really think a lot of Adam Hackenberg and Jonathan French right now behind the plate.
All right, you mentioned third base. Let's go to the infield. Last year you had a lot of guys that could play a lot of positions there, a lot of flexibility. How does that look coming out of the fall?
We like our infielders. We feel like they've got to continue to develop. We're still young in a couple of spots. You look at our infield play, we lost some guys with Logan, with Jordan Green, with Grayson Bird. We lost some experience. We don't have anybody in the infield that has started 2 years. So it's going to be a young group of guys. But the guys that have really stood out to me, at third base, we've played Briar Hawkins over there exclusively this fall. Briar played a lot of first base for us last year, was a middle infielder in high school, trying to make that transition to see if he can fit over there at third base. We know what Briar brings to the table offensively. The biggest thing for him is he's got to continue to develop defensively at third base. James Parker has really come on and had a great fall for us offensively. We need James to be more consistent defensively. James has played primarily at shortstop this fall, but we also know James can play third base. I feel like James is an above-average defensive third baseman and can play some second base if needed. Sam Hall, we played exclusively at shortstop. Yeah, so we put Sam at shortstop. Sam wanted the opportunity to compete for the shortstop job. We've played Sam and James primarily at shortstop this fall on opposite teams. Sam was the most consistent defender on the left side of the field for us this fall. I was very, very impressed with Sam and how he played defensively at shortstop for us this fall. And we all know what kind of athlete Sam is. Sam's one of the most athletic players in the ACC. We have another true freshman in Pierce Gallo. Pierce played shortstop in high school, highly touted out of high school, also played some third and played some second base this fall. And we feel like Pierce is going to be a really good player for us. Second base, Mac Starbuck. Mac redshirted.
Really? Wow.
Mac redshirted last year. Needed to gain some strength and some experience. Went out this summer, played this summer. Had a good summer. He came back, had one of the best offensive falls of any player in the program. So we couldn't be happier with the progress that Mac has made in this program. over the course of this fall. He had a tremendous fall, was very consistent at second base. We need to probably put him over at shortstop some and get him a little bit of work over there when we come back. But he had a tremendous fall for us. Chad Ferry's been in the infield primarily this fall. We know Chad can play the outfield too. We played Chad at first, and we also played him some at third base. We expect big things out of Chad. Again, a sophomore that played a lot for us towards the end of the year, got 50, 60 at-bats over the course of the season, and really swung the bat well towards the end of the season as he got more opportunities and got more comfortable. But Chad's athletic enough to play corner infield positions and play corner outfield positions, so we expect big things out of Chad. And Davis Sharp. Davis played at first base all fall, and Davis is a plus defensive first baseman. And really does a nice job around the bag, and he's got so much height and so much length, he can get to a lot of balls if an infielder makes an errant throw, and he's really good at picking balls in the dirt, which is what you want to see out of a first baseman. So those are the guys that played primarily for us in the infield, and we expect that competition to continue really for third, short, and second. But those guys, like the Parkers, and the Halls and Briar Hawkins, Mack, Starbuck, those guys all played really, really well for us this fall, and they're going to continue to battle for those starting jobs as we get into January.
All right, you mentioned Davis at first. I know last year, early in the year, you played him in the field a lot while he was on the mound. Later in the year, you kind of backed off on that. What's the plan going into this year?
It's a great question. The biggest thing we're trying to do with Davis right now is as he starts his throwing program and he gets ready to get back on the mound, we're trying to monitor and manage his workload as a position player and as a pitcher. So the days that he throws, we want him to hit and take ground balls. The days that he is not throwing, we actually want to try to give him those days off. So we're trying to build in more off days for Davis, more recovery days for Davis as he builds up his throwing program and his pitch count once he gets back on the mound. Once we get into the spring, we're just going to have to see where he's at pitching-wise. A lot of that is going to be dependent upon how he feels and how ready he is on the mound as far as how much work we put into him at first base. One thing's for sure, he can really play defense at first base. I don't think he's going to need a lot of work at first. I think he's very comfortable there. But the big piece is just how much throwing does he do on days where he's not pitching from first base. We want to limit those throws just so we can keep him sharp on the mound.
All right, let's go to the outfield. I know, obviously, we've seen a little bit of what Kieraune can do the first 2 years, but it's been spotty with all the injuries. Talk about his health and talk about how you see the outfield looking this year.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with Kieraune. If we can keep him healthy, I think Kieraune in the best place he has been in since he's been in the program as far as his swing and offensively what he brings to the table. He was limited a little bit even this fall with some injuries. Hopefully he can get healthy. I think he's well on his way to being healthy for us when we come back in January. He's moving good, he's working out, he's running, but he is hammering the baseball. He looks really, really good offensively for us. The big key is just where's he going to be at health-wise when we get back in January. We really need Kieraune to be able to go out in the outfield and run balls down and get and be able to get comfortable on defense. Offensively, we feel very, very good about him. Bryce Teodosio has made huge strides offensively. He's worked as hard as anybody. We all know what he brings to the table defensively. If we can get him more consistent offensively, then he's got a chance to be a special, special player on both sides of the ball. Michael Green battled some injuries this fall. When he did play, he killed the baseball. Michael's going to be a middle-of-the-order bat for us as long as he's healthy, but he did experience some issues with his health this fall, and hopefully we can get him healthy to where he can play on a regular basis for us, because we all know how good Michael is. Two guys that really stood out to me besides those guys was Elijah Henderson. Elijah Henderson statistically was our best hitter this fall. Stole a pile of bases, hit the ball hard all fall. He's gotten stronger, ran a 6.5 on scout day. So he's gotten faster. He's starting to mature physically. He's always been a good baseball player, but he just needed to get stronger. He went out this summer played in the middle infield in the Coastal Plains League and was an all-star. You could see Elijah. We're going to work Elijah some in the infield as well at second base to see if that's potentially an option because his bat is so good. He really hit the ball well and was one of the better offensive players for us this fall. Another young man that really jumped out at me this fall with his strike zone discipline and competitive at bats, and you talk about an athlete, is Dillon Brewer, young man out of Latta. Dillon turned down a lot of money in the pro draft to come to school, and he has tools galore. He can throw, he can run, he can play right, could play some center, some left. We've also put him over at first base a little bit, and he easily could be one of our best defenders at first base as well. So we'll put him over at first some when we come back in January. I didn't want to throw too much at him this fall, but we'll start working him in at first base too to see if that is an option, especially if we want to limit Sharp's workload at first base. But Dillon was one of the most disciplined hitters we had this fall in the strike zone. He's got a really good swing, hits the ball to all fields. He's going to continue to develop as he gets stronger, long, wiry, lanky player, but has a tremendous skill set and tool set, and we think he's going to be a special player.
All right, a lot of reasons there to be optimistic as well as we get closer to opening day there in February. Going to be a fun season, some new faces, some old faces, some guys that have come back from injuries that showed us flashes, but we haven't seen them for a full season. Want to thank Coach Lee for sitting down and going in depth for us. Hopefully that gives you guys a nice preview of the upcoming season.